Hello folks, welcome. This video is going to be about card combos, and we're going to handle this one a little bit differently from other videos. We're not going to be actually performing combos and giving advice back off of that, or doing anything like, hey man, I got 5 diamonds off of a 3 gold combo, you should always use that. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to answer some common questions, and then we're going to actually look at some data that I've collected and expose what that data shows us, so what we really know about performing combos in this game, and give you some tips on how to get the most out of your cards and potentially save yourself a lot of time and heartache. So let's flip over into the data and questions and get started there. Let's start off by addressing some common questions and misperceptions about card combos. First of all, what is the best combo? Very common question, see it all the time, generally from newer players. And the reality is there is no best combo. It's actually kind of a stupid question because the best combo would be one that gives you a full shuffle of all diamond cards every time. And as we look at the data, you'll soon see that the only way to pull that off is by using all diamonds in your combo. So that's really not realistic. So you can't get full diamond shuffles all the time. The best you can do is maximize your chance of getting that. So a player who's asking this question is generally going to be new to the game, is not going to have those cards at his disposal, so you can't mystically conjure up diamond shuffles from having crap cards. Sorry, doesn't happen. So combos that I'm going to show you, you're going to see why some of them have better chances than the others, and I will give you some advice on which ones you want to lean towards. So next question. Should I level up a player before using him in a combo? Very common question, and the answer is no, has absolutely no effect on the combo whatsoever. Short and sweet, no effect, don't do it. Next, does the OVR of the player affect the combo? Meaning, if I put high OVR players into my combo, do I get better players in the shuffle? And the answer to this one is we don't know. It's undetermined. People want to believe that you can affect the quality of the players in the shuffle. I actually am one of those people. I'd like to believe that, but the data is very difficult to gather, and I'm basically too lazy to compile all that data, so we don't really know. All we have is anecdotal evidence, which means, oh, I've seen this happen, so that must mean that it works this way. The reality is we don't have enough data, so my anecdotal evidence says, yes, I've had some success by putting higher OVR players and gotten better players out of it, but I don't have any statistics to back that. So the answer to this one is it's undetermined. Next one. I put gold cards in the combo. How did I end up with a silver? Okay, you'll get partially some of the answers to this as we start looking into the data, but my rule of thumb is this. The cards that you put into your combo, look at the lowest one that you put in. So if I put in 3 golds, 2 silvers, then the rule of thumb that I have is I expect to potentially get 1 grade worse than the lowest card I put in there. So since the silver was the lowest, I could theoretically get a bronze. Now this isn't a 100% rule. Like I said, this is a rule of thumb. And we'll see where the data breaks down this assumption later on. But if you approach it this way, then you won't surprise yourself and get very disappointed the fact that you wasted a diamond in a combo and you also threw in a bronze and you get a bronze or something worse out of it. So just generally regard it as one worse than the lowest card you put in is what you could potentially get out of a combo. Okay, next one. This is probably one of the biggest questions, which is, if I've gotten a shuffle and I see a diamond in there in a particular slot, which slot should I use to land, or should I guess to land that diamond? Meaning, if I got a diamond in position number 2 in the shuffle, what should I get in order to get that diamond? Is there a pattern? Do 2s always move to position 7? Or do 2s always move one spot over to the right? And there have been a lot of people who have tried to make sense about this. People have tried to gather data. And the reality is, I'm sorry to tell you, it's random. I know we're all baseball fans. We like to hang on to superstition and think that, some crazy thing that we do is going to influence what is really actually random. I'm sorry, but it's random. You can't use magical techniques to figure out what the pattern is here. There are no patterns. It's random. Okay, next. Should I use star combos? The short answer to this is no. Hang on in the video. I'm actually going to dedicate some data towards this and work you through the scenario of why this is a bad idea. Okay, next one. How many golds and diamonds should I use in the combo? Actually, the next two questions are going to be discussed over a majority of this video, which are how many golds and diamonds should I use in a combo to get a better chance of diamonds? And next, what is better, a 3-card combo or a 5-card combo? When should I be using those and what should I expect out of those? Most of the rest of this video is going to be dedicated to these two questions and attempt to make sense of those based on data that we've gathered. So let's take a look at that now. So I've collected a bunch of data regarding a bunch of different combo types, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this down into two parts. First, we're going to cover basic combos of all one type of card, and then we'll go on to mixed combos after that. And I'll also work out some math of whether or not you want to be using 5-card versus 3-card and what your payouts are going to be. So before we get started with that, let me just break down what you're looking at here so you can understand my notation. Basically, little n stands for normal, so 3n stands for 3 normal cards, B obviously bronze, S silver, and G gold, V diamond. Now the one thing about this table here is that G% represents how many shuffles you got of all gold cards, whereas D% represents how many shuffles that contained a diamond. So if you look at the bottom line with 5 silvers combination, you would realize that the actual number of shuffles you would get would be 17% plus the 11% for roughly 28 or 29% of the time you would get a shuffle. So next thing to point out here is under the count column that indicates how many actual combos I ran to collect the data. You'll notice that it's not such a large number to give us a very high degree of certainty. However, it is enough to give us a general idea within 2 to 5% probably, I'm guessing, on each of these. Even when we get down to the 5 bronze combos at 38, you're still going to have a reasonable representation. Okay, so let's focus in on the 3-card combos. For the top 3 rows represent those for normals, bronze, and silvers. And the first thing that I'd like to point out is that if you take a look at 3 bronze and 3 silver, you'll notice that the lowest possible card that you can get out of those combo as a result is 1 grade lower than what you put into it. So for bronze, you could put 3 bronze in and you could get a normal out. Whereas for silvers, you could put 3 silvers in and get a bronze out. Now, if you compare that to the 5-card combos, you will notice that this is not the case. With 5 cards, you are guaranteeing yourself at minimum the cards that you put into it and nothing lower. So it's a trade-off. But you'll also notice for the 3-card combos that you have a chance of getting the high end, a higher grade card at roughly the same percentage rate that you would see for the 5-card combos, but you had to invest less cards. So it's a trade-off. It takes fewer cards to make the combo, but at the same time you introduce a risk of reducing the grade of the card that you get as a result. So we'll take a look at that in just a second and we'll work some math behind. Is it worth it to take that risk and potentially lower the grade of the cards that you're putting into the combo and what you see out of it? You'll see that in just a second. So one thing additional to point out relating to that is the normals. Obviously, there's nothing worse than a normal card, so you can't degrade on normals. So that pretty much tells you, you can see that the percentage rates for getting a bronze out of a normal combo, either 3 or 5 cards, is roughly the same. So it makes absolutely no sense to do a 5-card normal shuffle, or sorry, combo. It's you gain nothing. In fact, it looks like the numbers are actually a little bit better for a 3-card normal combo, but I attribute that to just error based on number of tries run. Okay, so next thing to point out is that the distribution of cards that you can get out of your combos is roughly the same across the various grades. Meaning, if you look at, let's see, we'll look at their 5-card combos. You'll see that the lowest percentage you can get is 72%. And within a few percentage points for the bronze and silver, the lowest one is in the the 70% range. And same thing goes for the next grade up. For a 5 normal combo, you could get a bronze 27% of the time, which is pretty close to, for the 5 bronze combo, getting a silver at roughly the same percentage of the time. And as we pointed out earlier, for silvers, that's looking at roughly 29%, which is consistent. So what I'm pointing out here is this kind of reinforces the data that says, okay, this is our distribution, it's consistent across the grades, and it's fairly predictable. There's a little bit of a discrepancy for the 3-card combos, but I'm going to say that the rule should hold roughly true there as well, that you're going to see similar distributions across the grades. Okay, so that's all for the basic combos. Now let's take a look at some of the math as to why you would or would not want to use 3-card combos versus 5-card combos. So let's start out with normal cards, then we'll work our way up to bronze and silver. In each of these cases, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a base number of cards, in this case 150 cards, and I'm going to figure out what our combo results would be based off of that. We're using 150 because that's a multiplier, or multiplied out from the least common denominator of 15. So that allows us to get a very even number of card combos out of it. For example, if we look at 3-card combos, we take 150, divide that by 3, and that allows us 50 combos, whereas 5 cards divided by, or 150 divided by 5 for 5-card combos gives us 30 different combos that we can use our data on. So now all we have to do is take our percentages of cards that we'll see out of that and multiply that against the number of combos that we're running, and that'll tell us how many cards we should expect to see out of those combos. So in the 3-card combos, you can see that 66% of the time we're going to see a normal pop out of that, and if we multiply that against 50, we get 33 normals. Now, in all of the cases here, there's going to be some rounding. I'm going to have to round up or round down, so in some cases you might find that either the percentages or the card numbers might be off by a little bit if you're checking, so don't pay too close attention to that. It's just going to be rounding that I've performed. So nonetheless, the result that you want to notice out of this is that by spending 150 normal cards, you're actually going to see more bronzes and more cards returned to you out of 3-card combos than 5, further reinforcing that does not make any sense to use a 5-card combo when combining normal cards. Now, if we compare this to bronze cards using the very same approach, 150 cards, 50 combos for 3-card combos, and 30 combos for 5-card, you're going to see, first of all, that as we pointed out before, with a 5-card combo, you have no chance of degrading your card. So you're always going to see bronze or higher. But even taken into that into account, you'll notice that you still get more bronze and more silver out of using 3-card combos than you do with 5-card combos. The only thing to keep in mind here is you have to accept the fact that percentage of the time you're going to get a worse card, but knowing that in the long run you're going to come out ahead. And once again, moving to silver, this is where I change things up again, in my opinion. It's the similar type of thing. You don't get any worse cards out of a 5-card combo, as you can see here. And the numbers seem to support that you are going to get more shuffles in general by using 3-card combos. Now, so theoretically, it does seem to make more sense to stick with 3-card combos when dealing with silvers. Myself, I've actually been sticking with 5 card combos because I don't want to see a degrade in my card. Because if you look at 3 card combos, 61% of the time, plus an additional 17%, so 78% of the time, you're going to get a silver or worse. Whereas, actually, 17% of the time you're going to get a silver. Whereas if you look at the 5 card combos, you're always going to maintain a silver. And at this point, once I've gotten up to this level, I don't want my cards to degrade anymore, so I've been sticking with 5 silver combos. This is going to be really this is going to differ from person to person. You might choose 3 card. This one's really going to be up to you. I'm not going to give you any particular advice. I'm just going to tell you that I stick with 5 card on this, although sometimes I also use 3 card combos. So that kind of gives you an idea with basic combos what you want to be doing. Pretty much the math's telling us stick with 3 card combos for all the basic combos. So now we're ready to take a look at mixed combos. You can see here that I have 4 different combos that I'm going to represent here. And as we all know, the different combinations of cards that you could potentially be using in your personal combos is much, much larger than what I can represent here. I didn't have all the time in the world and all the cards in the world to invest, so I focused on ones that I use and made sense for exposing data. So unfortunately, if you have a particular favorite combo that's not listed here, I can't tell you specifically about that, but let's look at what I do have. So I've got 2 card combos here that are 3 cards and another 2 that are 5 cards. And first thing you'll notice is that the number of combos that I actually performed is less because we're starting to talk about golds and diamonds here, and there's simply not as many of those to use, or they're not as readily available. But I invested every one that I could in these, and this is the data that I've gathered. It's enough to get a representative sample, but once again, our percentages may be a little bit off, but representative nonetheless. Okay, starting at the top, 3 golds and 2 silvers. The thing that I like to note about this is that 90% of the time, you're going to see a shuffle out of this. Yes, there is potential to degrade, but that 10% chance is pretty low. Another very popular combo is 2 golds and 3 silvers, and I started to gather data on that, but I don't have enough to represent, but I can tell you that the percentage rate of grabbing silvers out of that is much higher, so I highly recommend going with 3 golds 2S over 2 golds and 3 silvers. Okay, next line. My favorite combo using any diamonds is 1 diamond, 2 golds, 2 silvers. And you'll notice that I call out the 0% on silver here. Theoretically, I expect at some point I'm going to see a silver drop out of this combo, but I haven't yet out of 47 tries, so I'm not sure if that's just I haven't been unlucky enough, or the percentage is too low, or if you simply cannot get a silver out of that. But following my general rule, I would expect to at least how cards you'll generally see potentially the lowest card or 1 grade lower out of your combo. So there's a silver in here, so theoretically I could get a bronze or a silver. That's why I expect to see at some point in the future a silver, but I haven't encountered it yet. So that being said, 95% of the time, I'm seeing at least 1 diamond in my combos. And what I'm not going to show you here, but I'll just generally describe to you, as the most common numbers of diamonds I was seeing out of this combo was 3 or 4 diamonds. So it's a very good combo to give you a pretty decent rate of return on diamonds for the one that you invest. Okay, next down, 1 gold and 2 silvers. This is the alternative to 3 golds and 1 silver, and I'm actually going to contrast these on the next slide. So things that I will point out to you is that this follows the rule for getting a grade lower than the lowest card invested out of this, but it also follows the rule you can get a grade higher than the highest card invested. 1 gold, and you could potentially get diamonds in this. It's a fairly low rate of return on golds, or getting any shuffles out of here. It looks like 27-28% of the time you're going to get a shuffle out of this, or more appropriately, 64% of the time you're going to lose that gold and end up with a silver out of that shuffle. Okay, moving on to the next one. I called this one in. The count is actually too low to give real good data on at 22 tries, but I was having such a good rate of return on getting gold shuffles out of only investing a silver and 2 bronze. I had to bring this one in here. So I'm pretty sure I was just being really lucky on this, and I expect that the shuffle numbers would go down, but this is worth gathering more data, and I will probably be pursuing this one further, and maybe even post an update in a video or on this. So keep an eye on that. Okay, so let's move on to comparing 3 golds and 2 silvers versus 1 gold and 1 silver. A 5-card combo using golds versus a 3-card combo using golds. And I already pointed out some of these things, but we're using the same paradigm. We're using 150 gold cards, which is our higher card, the rarer resource, and doing 150 combos in the case of the 3-card, and 50 combos in the case of the 5-card. Now, calling out, there is a much steeper investment of silver cards for the 3-card combo, so that kind of offsets the time that it takes to gather the 3 golds needed to make the combo. Instead, you're spending more time gathering silvers. Now let's compare the fact that out of the 5-card combo, this is consistent with our 5-card rule, in which you will never see a degrade in your cards. I never saw any bronzes out of this, so I'm investing silvers or higher, and I got silvers or higher out of the 5-card combo. Whereas in the 3-card combo, you're investing a gold and silvers, and you could potentially get a bronze out of that, and that will be pretty upsetting for people who are working with very few cards. So keep that in mind. And moving on down at looking at the number of times you're going to get a shuffle out of these two. For the 3-card combo, we're talking 28% of the time you're going to get a shuffle, whereas with the 5-card combo, we are talking 90% of the time you're going to get a shuffle. So this is a case where I no longer use the 3-card combo. I stick with the 5-card on this. It takes more time to gather those cards, but I'm pretty much guaranteed I'm going to get a shuffle out of that, and then I can reinvest those cards in further shuffles down the line. Now let's go ahead and talk about star combos, as I referred to earlier in the common questions. And more specifically, you have the opportunity to invest stars to guarantee that your shuffle is going to contain the highest grade cards that you enter into the shuffle. This provides you with the ability to invest 1 diamond card and 2 normals in a combo and paid stars and end up with a guarantee of 7 diamonds in the shuffle. The investment to do this is 2,000 stars, and the key thing to note in this is that when you get those 7 cards in your shuffle, those 7 diamonds, there's absolutely no guarantee that the cards that you get, those diamonds, are actually going to be good players. This means that the majority of the time you're going to get garbage players and maybe 1, if you're lucky, 2 good players that you have a chance of landing. So let's go with the assumption that we get 1 good player out of the 7, which is commonly what I see, so maybe your percentage is higher, to each of their own. But nonetheless, that basically means out of every 7 times you pay stars to make a shuffle, you're going to land that 1 good player, assuming everything works out to your favor as far as percentage of the time, 1 in 7. So at that point, you've tried 7 times, investing 2,000 stars for a total of 14,000 stars to get a shuffle. And if you work out the math and convert those stars over to dollar amounts, we're talking $140 investment for a single useful diamond player, which is, I'm sorry, this complete crap, and you don't want to be doing that. So I highly, highly discourage using star combos. It's a waste of money. Okay, last topic before we move over to some actual combos that I've run. and we are going to talk about theories that are out there that we do not know the answer for, but could potentially be viable. So, first one, I referred to this one earlier, and that is some people believe, myself included, that the OVR of the cards that you put into the combo influences the quality of the players that you're going to see in the shuffle. They're not going to improve your chance of getting a shuffle, but once you do have the shuffle, what cards actually show up there? So once again, this is anecdotal evidence, meaning I've seen it happen a few times for me, so it makes me believe that when I had combos in which I actually put a prime in there, or one of my better players that I had simply outgrown into the combo, it seemed to me that I was getting better quality players in my shuffles. Uh, but then again, it could be completely me misperceiving the data, and there could be no correlation there at all. So that's going to be up to you. That said, it doesn't hurt if you have a bunch of cards that you're putting into combo to put all the low ones in together and put all the higher ones in together, and maybe you'll see better results out of that. To each their own on that one. Next one. How many diamonds are you going to get in your shuffle, and how is that determined? There are a large number of people who seem to be operating with the perception that the number of diamonds you get is determined based off the when you get your shuffle. Meaning, so I did a 3 gold and 2s combo, and when it is determined that I got a shuffle, people tend to believe that the computer decides, oh, you're going to get 3 diamonds in that, or you're only going to get 1 diamond in that. I actually happen to believe that the 3 golds and 2 silvers actually basically determine what chance each individual card in the shuffle is going to have for being a diamond. So in the case of the 1 diamond, 2 gold, and 2 silver, I'm thinking that that probably gives me roughly a 20% chance that each individual card is going to be a diamond. So card number 1 gets dropped on the board, 20% chance it's going to be a diamond. And the next card gets dropped into the shuffle, and 20% chance that that one's going to be a diamond. So instead of it saying, oh, you get 3 diamonds in the shuffle, it's working out 7 times whether or not that card's going to be a diamond. Once again, to prove this, virtually impossible. So, and impact on you in performing your shuffle is probably non-impactful at all. But nonetheless, for those of us who like to think about the numbers and probabilities and chances, it's something to ponder. Okay, that said, let's go ahead and let's look into one thing. We pointed out that 5-card combos guarantee you that you will not get a grade lower. But what I never had a chance to prove is if I do a 5 diamond shuffle, am I guaranteed that all the cards in my shuffle are going to be diamonds? So I've actually saved up some diamonds, and let's do a little test here. I probably won't ever run it again, so take it for what it's worth because it's not going to be a large sample size. But let's see what we get out of that. And then let's do a couple of combos with a diamond and 2 golds and 2 silvers and see how that works out for me. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we need to see what happens if we take 5 diamonds, put them into a combo, and see if this follows the pattern of guaranteeing A, a shuffle, and B, that all the cards within the shuffle are diamonds. Now, I've consulted with somebody and been told that this will not, in fact, lead to all diamonds, which would kind of break our rule, but let's go ahead and see what happens. So, let's see. Let's find our diamonds first of all. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then lastly, a player that I've chosen to give up on. Alright, here we go. Wish me luck. Notice, by the way, the star combination price has come down to 400. Actually, let's see what happens. 200 or 400 for each player discount. So, anyways, here we go. We got a shuffle. All diamonds. Okay, so I'm not sure if my acquaintance remembered incorrectly or what the case here is, but this seems to indicate that it does follow our rule. 5 diamonds equals all diamonds. So unfortunately, this also illustrates the point that even though I did get all diamonds in here, notice that there really isn't anybody on this list that is all that appealing to land. So which one of these I actually end up with is not going to be that important because they are unimpressive. Alright, so there's my diamond. There's our proof that it does follow the rule. Obviously, we need more cases to completely prove it, but it does seem to follow the pattern. Okay, now that we've covered some of the basics, or pretty much everything that I know, let's round out this whole experience by actually doing a couple combos here. And we're going to use my favorite combo of choice, which is the 1 diamond, 2 gold, and 2 silvers. So, just as a side note, I purchased the pack that gives you 3 premium cards every day, and today I just so happened to pull the 2 diamonds that you see here. Amazingly, I pretty much never pull a diamond out of those 3 cards that I get, let alone 2 at the same time. So that is just pretty astounding, actually. So we're going to take 1 diamond. We're going to go with 2 golds, 2 silvers, and let's turn off the chat here. Don't want to see this garbage. And see what happens. We got 2. That's about par for the course. 2 diamonds out of it. Neither of them are particularly amazing. Which slot should I choose? I always follow the same pattern because I don't like saying, oh, what would have happened if I had have chosen this other slot? I thought I should have chosen that other slot. So I always pick the player that I want the most, and I choose that slot. So I'm going to go for R. Martin here, and I'm going to choose slot 7 because that's where he's at. And because I'm not going to question whether or not he was in another slot, I can't be sad that, oh, I would have thought he was in slot 3. No, I always choose the same slot. So there's no second guessing going on here. I got a lame card out of that. But what that does give me is 2 golds to pair along with this other diamond that I have. And see what we can do with this one. This time we got 3 diamonds out of it. And we're going to go for Headley, so we're going to be choosing slot 6. Bad results on both of those. Now that said, I didn't have a good result this time, but I can tell you I have landed quite a number of good cards from that. I've gotten 2 diamond primes and quite a number of other good cards. So that is actually a good technique to use, but to each their own. Sometimes I'll have my daughter choose. She hasn't had very much luck. But nonetheless, good luck with your combos. Thanks for listening. If you like the content here, give me a thumbs up, please. It helps with search rankings, and subscriptions are always good, too. Like to see my stuff at the top of the search rankings, and I appreciate your patronage. And bye for now.